Alrighty, guys, welcome to another edition of Who Are You and What's Your Story? And I came across Jenna Knight in Facebook first, but I met you in person when you were able to get the mayor to come to the Pleasant Street Neighborhood Networking Center to what exactly was that you did? Because they made the month National ADHD month, right? For the city of
Yes,
Worcester.
yes, it was a proclamation um, dedicating from October 1st to October 31st, ADHD Awareness Month to break the stigma around ADHD. Believe it or not, there's that big stigma still going around about it. Everybody, when I tell people I have ADHD, oh, so do I. I'm like, anyways, yes, it was an honor for me. I have never did. I got a proclamation a couple of years ago, but I never did it on behalf of CHAD, which stands for, oh boy, Children and Adults with ADHD. Um, and I never did it in a community setting like that. So it was just I kind of hid it till after I got home, and I cried like a baby because that was my first time actually doing it in a community, and I felt like I was on cloud nine. I was calling everybody and posting it. Look what I did, and everybody's like, whoa. I'm like, oh, that's so good that you did it. I'm like, I did it for the ADHD community here in Worcester and nationally, it needs to be done every
Yeah.
year. So,
Yep. So with that being said, because I failed to follow up with who you are, so this is Jenna Knight, who is a coach supporting women and parents of children with ADHD to overcome any obstacle that they face so that they can experience life to the fullest in whatever area of life that is. Is that a good description of what you do?
yes, it is perfect.
I love it. So you obviously shared in your previous statement that you have ADHD. Can you talk a little bit about what has led you to being a coach and supporting other people who have ADHD?
Well, oh boy, you want me to go back that far back? Really?
You tell me whatever floats your boat. Really? Because this is all about
Really?
who you are.
Um, well, I what really got me into this was I used to work for a state agency, and I'm gonna say the name. It's the Massachusetts Rehabilitation Commission, and their subgroup, they had a statewide rehab council, which kind of oversaw um everything that they did. We were like advocates type of thing. And my responsibility was I was the chair of the learning disabilities and ADHD subcommittee for 7 years. To make a long story short, um we made sure that MRC was doing everything they needed to do for consumers with learning disabilities and ADHD. We created a support group. What else have we done? We did a needs assessment. We did a training for the VR counselors on ADHD and LD. And I want to point out that I was working with the training department, and as soon as that went live on their network, we had 120 people signed up across the board. I was like, yes. So we did little things like that. I absolutely loved my job, but I noticed that there was, besides MRC, there wasn't really a lot. There isn't a lot of services out there for adults with ADHD, nor children with ADHD. So at one of my meetings a while back, we had a guest, and she came in and she started talking about herself. And I've always played with the idea of, hey, I want to. start my own business. And I was gonna start a business called Advocate in Action, and I was gonna do information and referrals. Well, how could I do that when there's no services out there anyways? So she said that she was an ADHD coach. Ding, 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 light bulb, light bulb, light bulb. I wanted to know more. I was like, yeah, tell me, tell me, tell me. Me and her met after. She told me what she did. That was it. I was so excited. Like, I needed to know more about it. Uh, I went home, Googled it, Googled the training. I'm like, yeah, this is what I want to do. And
So,
it was
so can you give a description for the audience about what ADHD is? Because a lot of people hear it, but I think that unless you have been diagnosed with it or have a family member who has ADHD, it kind of so from my understanding, it's just like you're hyper and you have a hard time paying attention. So
yeah.
can you give a little bit more clarity around what it is for anybody who might not know?
Okay. There's a lot of different definitions, but it's a common neurodevelopmental disorder. It can be found in adults and children. More and more adults are being diagnosed due to social media. But there's three types of ADHD. There's the inattentive, which an individual has trying to finish a task, pay attention to details, following instructions, following conversations, easily distracted. Oh, look, a squirrel. Ah, how'd you do that? Forgetting details for daily routines. The second one is the hyperactivity and impulsivity. This person fidgets, talks a lot, can't sit still. In a child, they may want to jump around, very may interrupt people, um, impulsive with when it comes to money, um, those type of things. Now, the third type, combined type, and that is the inattentive and the hyperactivity combined into one. And I was so lucky enough, yay me, to be diagnosed with the combined type, which is very rare because women with ADHD are more common to be diagnosed with just the inattentive. So, can I tell
Hmm.
you how I get diagnosed real quick? To make a long story short, I had an issue with a professor at my institution I was going to. I had reasonable accommodations due to my learning disability at that time. And I was supposed to take exams in a separate setting. Worked for me, right? So she would always forget to bring the exam down to the disability services office, which was, I'm pointing, you can't, which is 3 or 4 doors down. She had no excuse. I was feeling everything, depressed, everything. So, no, it gets better. So we had a meeting, the director of the Disability Services Office and I and her had a meeting, and she would scale my um, final grade so I wouldn't fail. Okay. I studied my butt off. I was ready for this. Day of the final, guess what wasn't there? This test. I was heated. I was so mad. You could see the smoke coming out of my ears, my nose, my mouth. I was like that bull on that cartoon from years ago when he went, yeah, that was me. Um, so I didn't go to the class to get the exam. No, I was being spiteful. Now, I'm not telling anybody out here to be spiteful, but for this situation, yeah, she was ignorant. Um, she didn't. I'm talking about my professor. Um, she was just mean. So I waited for her at her office. She was coming up like here's the stairs, and then there was her office. I was waiting for her at her office. Yeah, I did. When she saw me sitting there, she said to me, "Oh, Jennifer, I'm so," and before she could even say sorry, mm-mm, this girl went up one side of her, down the other, and around in circles. They could hear me down the hall, around the corner, in the president's office of this institution. Yay. So they called the security, and they also called the director of disability services office, who's like a second mom to me. She was the only one who could calm me down. Make a long story short, she told me to go down to her office. I walked down the hall. Well, she told me, she's like, "Well, you could go with the security guards and get arrested, or you could go with me back to my office. Shut up, don't say anything. I'll talk to the professor." And I'm like, "Fine." I walked down the hallway, stomping, little temper tantrum type thing. And then I ended up getting an incomplete repeat where I had again, which is fine. Next time I took it, I aced it. Oh, it was abnormal psychology, by the way. So when she came back to the office, she handed me the sheet, self ADHD self assessment. I'm like, what the heck is this? I don't want to take this. I'm not in the mood. My mouth was going off. I was f bombing all over the place. And I took it, and it was all in a 5 point scale. It's five all the way down. And she looked at me and says, "I think you have ADHD." So she referred me to um, UMass, and that next day I was diagnosed. When the doctor came in, he told me, quote unquote, that I had the worst ADHD he had ever seen in his whole entire life. I'm like, "What are you talking about, dude?" I got up, was gonna grab my backpack, and I'm like, "I'm out of here. You're not insulting me." And he's like, "No, no, 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 no. Wait, wait, wait. It wasn't, it's not what I'm talking about." He's like, "Because I was in recovery, I'm also a recovering drug addict off of crack cocaine for the past 28 years, I think now. Um, so because of my addiction, it made it worse. So gave me Ritalin, and the rest is history. I've been on the go ever since. So
So, okay, so let's rewind time. So, because this really is a story about who you are, right? And how you got to where you are today.
yep.
So, you were a crack cocaine addict for how many years?
I don't remember. It's so that whole, I'm gonna say 2 years, maybe.
So, what was the catalyst for your sobriety?
My daughter. I have an older daughter, Amber. She's 32 now, and I have a younger daughter, Cheyenne, who's my youngest. And yeah, I just wanted to get clean for her. I don't want her to think, "Oh, her mother's just a quick," kids are rude, kids are mean, you know. Yeah, I just didn't want to be that crackhead, mother anymore. No. Mm-mm. Plus, I wanted to go to school. Plus, I was kind of just sick of the life, just
Yeah.
doing the same thing day in and day out. It got boring. So
Hmm.
I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done."
So
Um,
what was it like recovering from crack addiction? Because I
oh,
have spoken to other people who have overcome addictions to heroin and crack, and I'm curious what your experience was.
it was this. The withdrawals are not that bad as you would think, as like heroin or alcohol. I could feel it in my body. Yeah, my body was broken. I mean, I had a whole bunch of health problems. Um, I had heart problems. Um, and um, I don't really remember it, but it wasn't. I was sick. I was tired. I slept a lot. I mean, a lot, because I would be up for days, days and days and days. So it's mostly getting back into my sleep patterns, eating healthy, getting my body back to where it needed to be. My body was broken. It was drawn out. I'm just surprised I'm still here.
So, first off, I commend you immensely for,
You
being brave enough to recognize that for your daughter to really experience life with her mom, you needed to get sober. So I just, I really appreciate that about you because it's hard. So then you mentioned, and something that really impresses me still is you had this drive to go to school. And
Yep.
so even without knowing that you had ADHD, you started to go to college. Now, share with the listeners exactly what you've gotten degrees in because you've actually graduated with more than just an associate's and a bachelor's. I believe you're going for a master's. Am I not? Am I correct?
I have my master's. I got a certificate in human services from Quinsigamond Community College. That was my start. I got my bachelor's in science from Worcester State University, in urban studies with a concentration in public service. Maybe
Yeah,
10
for
years. What?
yeah, you froze on me. I
Oh,
saw you got a no, no, no. So you're
shoot.
good. So you had a concentration in so I got to Worcester State and then go ahead.
Okay. It was in urban studies with a concentration in public service and urban community planning. Um, yeah.
That's so impressive. And then so that's where your master's is in?
Nope, my master's is in. I just graduated in 2021. Um, in master's in psychology. Which made me I did my final class was like a capstone class, and